Hello, welcome. Um, Welcome everybody to my interview with Norio Kushi, my follow-up interview. Want to make sure you can hear me. So if somebody in the audience would say something, write something in the chat, just say hello. Make sure you can hear me. We have 15 people watching us. Great, wonderful. Thank you. We got that. Okay, so I want to thank you for joining me and thank you for subscribing to my newsletter and for your interest in what's going on with my brother, Norio. We did a last interview with him in March of 29 this year, where I visited him in Asheville, North Carolina. We did an in-person live interview, which you can see here on my YouTube channel. And he was diagnosed with Merkel cell carcinoma in August the year before. So, or it was August of 21. Anyways, so we're back to check in with him and to discuss what he's been doing and find out what he is how he's been progressing. And I'm very happy to say that he is doing well. And so that's great news. And it's everything. I mean, either I think in situations like this, either your health condition goes down or it improves. And I'm happy to say that Norio's condition has been improving over these months and years. Thank you. So, but I do want to say a couple of things that for those of you who are not familiar with who we are and why we are talking about Norio's cancer, not just because of him, but also because of the significance of cancer in our lives in general, given that our parents are Michio and Aveline Kushi. Let's see, this is our parents, Michio and Aveline Kushi, who are the leaders of the macrobiotic movement in their time. And also my father wrote this book, The Cancer Prevention Diet, and helped many thousands of people recover their health from a variety of diseases, including cancer, using the methods written in this book. Now, Norio and I are two of five children. There's Lily, Norio, Haluo, or Larry, myself, and Hisao. We are five children, and our oldest sister, Lily, unfortunately passed away in 1995 due to cancer-related causes. And so did our parents, which is what is interesting and significant about what Norio was facing when he himself discovered he was diagnosed with cancer. What would he do? Norio also has written a book called, it's a book about him. He didn't write it. Somebody else wrote it. It's about him, which you can read. It's called Awake at the Wheel. It's a great book. Without further ado, I'm going to put Norio on the stage and invite. And now, I do want to say that hi, Norio, welcome.
Hello, can you hear me? Hopefully
Yes.
everything's working okay. Great.
Yeah, I can hear you. So I do want to say that everything we discuss here is not to be looked at as medical advice or health advice. This is all particularly Norio's journey. And if you are facing a health challenge, we recommend that you seek the professional medical and healthcare professional to address your situation. Okay, so hi, Norio.
Yeah, thanks for this. Thanks for this follow-up interview. Been
Yeah,
looking
you're
forward to
welcome.
it.
Yeah, and I also want to say Norio wanted to share what was going on. This is all entirely, again, I'm not twisting his arm like last time. He was very more than willing to share everything that's going on with him and let everybody know what his journey has been. Which he about a month ago, um, Norio sent out an email message to the family, giving us a full kind of chronological progress of what was going on, which I posted in my last newsletter, which if you've subscribed to it, you would have seen it. But for those of you who haven't, I will just read through the list of dates of what has happened with Norio according to his writing. So on February 2021, he noticed a small pea-sized bump behind his left knee. Okay, now, up until this time and for many years, Norio has been a truck driver and has been involved in transportation of other vehicles as well. Here's a picture of him in his truck. Yeah, that's his, which he owns. Anyways, so Noyes has been a truck driver, driving across the country back and forth, and then noticed this pea-sized bump behind his left knee. And that was February 2021. Then April 2021, the pea-sized bump continued to grow, and he affectionately called it Mr. Bump. Then a month later, Mr. Bump was demanding his attention, and introducing him, Norio, for the first time to what he calls the disease management system, also known as the healthcare system. So then 2 months later, in other words, he went for a diagnosis or went to see what it was all about. So 2 months later, then with our brother, Larry, or Haluo, who is a well-known nutritional researcher and well-regarded and well-respected and very well connected in the whole medical industry. He had a consultation. Norio suggested that he had a consultation with an oncology team at Duke Cancer Research Center in North Carolina. In August of 2021, the tumor was diagnosed as Merkel cell carcinoma, a rare, aggressive, often fatal type of cancer. And incidentally, the late Jimmy Buffett was also diagnosed with this cancer. The initial surgery to remove the bump was taken off the table as the cancer had spread throughout the lymph system. September 2021, a month later, Mr. Bump continued to grow, eventually to the size of a baseball. At that point, he started immunotherapy treatments at Duke, and he declined radiation treatments unless Mr. Bump started to bleed. On October 2021, a month later, Mr. Bump started bleeding uncontrollably, prompting him to begin a round of radiation treatments. The aftermath of the radiation slowly dissolved Mr. Bump, transforming him into Mr. Crater. So now he has a big crater in the back of his knee. November 2021, the pain from the radiation became so severe that pain drugs became necessary. Between the cancer, the drugs, and the severe pain, mobility became significantly limited for Norio, sometimes requiring 24-hour care. He was reduced to crawling between the bed, living room, couch, and bathroom. Whenever going out, he was pushed in a wheelchair. When feeling strong enough, he used crutches to move about. On March 2022, his energy level dropped severely, and it felt like his days on planet Earth were coming to an end. Okay, now that's March 2022. That was a year before I had the interview. So on May 2022, having limited success in controlling the pain, he saw a wound care specialist in Lynchburg with their help, which included maggot therapy. Okay, I'll say that again, maggot therapy, placing maggots to eat away at the dead skin. I was able to lower the pain to a bearable level, controlling the pain with medications. Then July 2022, things were looking bleak. All my children and my brother all came to Asheville to visit, thinking that he may not live very long. On August 2022, he started hyperbaric oxygen therapy to help heal Mr. Crater. Then November 2022, he developed pneumonia, which was eventually diagnosed as a side effect of immunotherapy treatments. He also started a meditation technique that was suggested by friends. Then December 2022, missed most of this month in a brain fog from pain, drugs, and pneumonia. There were also many more tumors growing in the lymph system. A PET CT scan at Duke indicated the tumors had continued to spread and grow. His left leg became swollen and he had lost significant amount of weight. Then on January 2023, through my recommendation, I suggested that he go see a Dr. George Yu, a colleague of my father's and me, who uses a metabolic approach to cancer. Dr. George Yu highly recommended that he adopt the keto diet. He also suggested he take a whole host of supplements and prescribe repurposed medications. The healing impact of the keto diet was felt immediately. 5 days later, there was a noticeable reduction in Mr. Crater's talking, meaning pain level, and the swollen leg had returned to normal size. On March 2023, he began another round of immunotherapy at Duke of Earl. And then April 2023, more breathing difficulty, including a visit to the ER in Asheville. He was diagnosed with pneumonitis, which is a fancy term for pneumonia from drugs and cancer. He took antibiotics for the first time in his life and was prescribed an inhaler. Immunotherapy was suspended because of increasing challenge in breathing in May 2023. In June 2023, the use of the inhaler continued to slowly increase, prompting the Duke of Earl oncology team to recommend prednisone. On July 2023, he went back to Virginia, where he normally lives, and his good friend Lisa put him on an unusual protocol of gum spirits of turpentine. He inhaled steam with turpentine and garlic, applied turpentine on Mr. Crater, and ingested half a teaspoon of turpentine with castor oil. And his breathing issue began to subside within the next 2 days. He was able to forego the need for crutches and walk, or rather hobble around independent of any assistance. Virtually overnight, he went from up to 14 pain pills a day to no longer needing any pain meds at all. Okay, so then August 2023, Mr. Crater began to heal. I was feeling great and my energy level began increasing. I had another PET CT scan and the results supported how I was feeling. The tumor had either disappeared or was reduced considerably in size. The tumors that were left inactive, which means in remission, said the Duke of Earl oncology team said it is miraculous. September 8, 2023, he began physical therapy, focusing on the mobility of his left leg. He also started ingesting a traditional Aztec remedy for respiratory issues, Mexican honeysuckle tea. They experimented with many other alternative therapies throughout the journey. If anyone is interested, he'd be happy to share that. On September 17, 2023, he and his friend Lisa were able to go to Emerald Isle Beach, which was quite healing, sun, sea, air. And and he was able to go into the ocean, and that was very felt great for Mr. Crater. And during this time, he was now flexible enough to ride a bicycle. September 26, 2023, he began another round of hyperbaric oxygen chamber treatments, 40 sessions over the next 8 weeks, and continued to receive physical therapy. October 6, 2023, the pneumonitis has returned, and he renewed his inhaler prescription and resumed the turpentine protocol, which, by looking at you now, you seem to have recovered from that and have stopped those things. So now just remember that from January 2023, he's been on this keto diet, meaning eating only animal food and some vegetables and no grains. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so you've been doing
quite a switch.
Yes. You
Yeah.
okay, and before that, you were pretty much eating, what would you say? What kinds of foods were you eating?
Well, I was eating the way we were raised.
Okay, kind
Uh,
of
yeah.
macro, and
Yeah.
sometimes
Uh-huh.
ramen and white noodles and things, etc.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to add to this list, this or what has been happening?
Um, let's see. Well, you pretty much cover it. That covers pretty much everything. My breathing is back to normal again, and my energy level went down as well. And so, but it's coming back up, and so I did join a gym, and because of my breathing issue, I hadn't been able to go to it, but I'm planning next week starting to go to the gym. But yeah, and November 14th, I have another PET CT scan, and I feel even better now than I did in August. So I'm expecting
Great,
improved results. We'll see.
great, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So when you started on the keto diet, which back in January, you said you felt immediate improvement.
Yes. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah. My left leg was really swollen
Yeah.
at
Like,
that point, and within 3 days, it shrunk back to normal size.
I see. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
Great.
my energy levels started to increase as well.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, and then recently you said you've been experimenting in the past 3 weeks, going completely carnivore. In fact, cutting out most
Yeah.
vegetables, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was an idea that Lisa and I came up with because of the breathing issue. It got acute in end of April, and then uh, it took care of itself well. You know, in June, it was my breathing was okay, but then it came back in July. It's like coming and going. So we thought, well,
Uh,
let's experiment, see if carnivore helps. So,
Cutting
uh,
out most vegetables,
right, exactly. Yeah.
just meat. So, like,
Yeah.
what do you eat on a daily basis right now?
Well, eggs, uh, steak. Let's see. Let me see if I can show a picture of a meal. I don't know. Can you see that?
Oh, wait, I'll add that to the stage. Sorry, I have to add that myself on my end. There we go. All right, yes. So there it is. So what do you have there?
So
Uh,
that
Looks
there's
like hot dog,
yep, that's bison hot dogs.
bison
That's
hot dog.
the soup is a bone broth.
Okay,
I think I'm not sure if it's beef or chicken bone broth. And then there's steak. The plate is a ribeye steak.
okay. What is the white stuff on top of the steak?
That's sauce made from cream and blue cheese, I think. At least
Okay.
maybe.
So you're also eating dairy foods.
Yeah. So sometimes dairy, yeah.
Okay.
And then the
Not,
wrappers, that the hot dogs, the bison burgers are in, is made out of eggs.
oh, okay. Yeah,
And
because they look
there is a sauerkraut, so we do include fermented foods like sauerkraut or kimchi.
okay. What's in the soup?
I think that might be chicken.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I mean, the wrappers do look like wheat tortillas,
Yeah,
but they're
but
made out of
and
egg.
yeah, 100% eggs.
Wow, fascinating. Okay. Wow. And so you've been doing this for now. You switched more to a carnivore diet, like less vegetables, almost no vegetables. And
Right.
how have you been feeling? Uh,
Been feeling good.
okay.
Uh, yeah, and interestingly enough, my dandruff is gone for the first time in my adult life.
Dandruff. No dandruff.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's very interesting. Any other changes or any?
Uh, no, no, and I don't know how long I'm going to stay on this carnivore.
Okay.
Uh, seems to be working for now. I'm going to stick with the keto anyway,
Okay.
for
Yeah,
sure.
think Dr. Yu suggested that you stay on it for at least 2 years. That was in
Yeah.
our last interview. Yeah, so that will be coming up in January will be 1 year, so another year after that.
Yeah. January 19th, 2025.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to have udon and mochi.
You're gonna celebrate. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. Maybe some natto too, huh?
Well, natto, on the keto diet, I eat natto
Oh, you can have natto.
because it's fermented.
Oh, fermented. Okay. So anything. So what is it you can have and can't have on the keto diet?
Well, the guideline that we use is we include fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, natto.
Miso. Miso.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we miso. And then as far as vegetables, I haven't had any for since I started carnivore, but salad,
Okay.
and absolutely nothing with sugar.
Okay.
Uh, no, no veg. Basically, the idea is to avoid carbs, quote carbs,
Okay.
and sugar, and lots of fat, animal fat. So, and the oils we use is like avocado, olive oil, butter, and ghee.
Okay.
Uh, we use no other vegetable oils. Coconut oil we use, no other oils.
I see. Now, um, uh, have you had your has your blood pressure changed or anything like that? Because, people say, oh, if you eat a lot of meat, especially eggs and high cholesterol foods,
Uh-huh.
your blood
Well,
pressure.
interestingly enough, my blood pressure was always, according to the disease management system, it was always high.
Okay.
So it was, and so it was always borderline for me to pass. Every 2 years, need a DOT physical. So it was always just below the max
I
that
see.
I could pass the physical.
Wow.
And since going on keto, my blood pressure has dropped significantly.
Wow. Okay.
And even
So,
carnivore, my blood pressure is way low. It's
wow.
like,
Okay.
they say it's that of a teenager.
Yeah. So that's quite contrary to what people might expect.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
that's interesting.
So, are you surprised at these results yourself?
Mm, yeah. I mean, the, yeah, the way that I look at all of this is very different than the average person. a lot of it is influenced because of through Giorgio Sawa and parents, mostly mom for of course, but it, so the thing about uh, cancer is I don't see it as something negative,
Yes.
So that's number one. I don't see it as something wrong. I see it as just what's so. I don't see it as an enemy that needs to be attacked the way the disease management system has programmed us to look at it. So I see it more as, if anything, it's besides that's what's arising. It's a messenger, and you don't want to kill the messenger. You want to understand the message.
Okay. So it's
that's
something to address and something to pay attention to. And
yeah, exactly. Something, it's the universe speaking and saying, hey,
so
take a
it's
look
not
at
something
this.
to ignore.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, and so the other thing that was real clear to me is that, you mentioned Lily, Mom, Pa, they all were diagnosed with cancer. And so what was clear to me is that I, like Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes, I know nothing. I know nothing. So
I don't know how many people get that reference, but okay.
so so I was totally open to look at anything
Okay.
because I knew that I don't know anything. So
Okay.
and that's exactly what I did. And starting with the disease management system,
Uh-huh.
And regardless of whether I might not look at it in the same way that this is some enemy that needs to be destroyed, it doesn't mean that what they have. I was still very open to see what they had to offer or what their ideas were,
Mm-hmm.
and try it out, see if it might be useful.
So,
to a certain point.
Right. So it seems like the main form of treatment that you got from the medical world is immunotherapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel that has helped you?
Well, in all honesty, I don't know if it's helped at all.
Oh,
You know.
okay. All right.
Yeah. And something to say, like what you mentioned in the beginning, this medical advice. I have my ideas of, personal ideas of what I think was really helpful, but I don't know that that's just my personal ideas.
Okay.
And anything I share is not a recommendation because I
Sure.
don't know. All I know is
What worked for you or what has been working and not working for you.
yeah, and I don't even know out of everything that we've
Yes.
been engaged in, which has been what has been effective and when it's not, and all that. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's speculation. Though I do have strong feelings about which has been effective and which has not. I don't have any proof that is the case.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing you do feel confident that has been very helpful is the keto diet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, food, as we all know, makes a huge difference.
Right. Right.
And so
So let me
yeah.
go right into the first question I would like to ask you, which was actually a leftover from the last interview, which people were wondering, which was, what do you think is the cause of your situation? Like, why did that appear? Why did you get Merkel cell carcinoma? Or
Okay.
why,
Well, uh,
what were you doing that you think led up to that?
okay. So here again, as I mentioned to you, the way that I see life is it's not better, but it's different than the way most people do. And so, if someone wants to get an idea, a little bit more of an idea, it's this book Awake at the Wheel. Um, I, I what came to me is that time is created through us. Time is not set. It's an interpretation. The human being, the physical human being, is just a small fraction of our true nature, our total being. And what we are is what we are as human beings. Like an analogy I like to use is that if you shine a light through a prism, shine white light through a prism, 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 and the light is refracted and splits up into multiple colors, like 7 colors of the rainbow, for example. Well, we humans are focal points of energy, and we're like prisms. We take the energy and we break it up into different patterns of energy. And the fundamental pattern of energy that is broken into is time space. So in actuality, there is no cause and effect in the way that we understand. Birth and death is actually a single movement. They're not separate. Being the human prism, being that we break the energy into patterns, we then create
Are you maybe you froze?
being
Sorry.
on this planet,
Oh,
so to speak.
okay. Yeah, your
Yeah.
video froze for a second. Okay.
So
Could you repeat that last sentence just because?
yeah. So it's not that there isn't time space. It's that it's being created through us. So the way that I see human life now is it's not it's a single movement. Birth and death is a single movement. So the main answer, the big answer to the question of what causes death. So like people say, he died because of this car accident or cancer or whatever. The actual cause of all death is birth. So, and then we interpret the ending of the physical form in the way that we play as it's because of Merkel cell carcinoma, or because of this or whatever. But in fact, the cause of that physical death of the physical form is the birth of the physical form. So so that's so there's now an understanding of what death is, and so there's no fear around the ending of this form because there's no identifying with the form. It's seen as a temporary form, and our true core nature is not temporary; it's eternal. So the joke is that when the form dies, we don't go anywhere because there's nowhere to go. Time space idea of split places to go is part of the way that we play with the energy here. Once same way we play with time. So So that said, I can say, well, I don't know, maybe driving the truck, I ate on the road, so if we want, we could say, well, it's the food I ate or whatever. It's, you know, uh, things I've learned since as a result of this is that uh, virtually all vegetable oils are toxic. Even organic cold pressed vegetable oils are toxic.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
and prior to the introduction of that, along with margarine and Crisco and all that, there were no such thing as heart attacks in the United States. Even that's a recent phenomenon of the beginning of the 20th century. Once those products were introduced, for example. So uh, and of course, as Georgia Sawa postulated, sugar is a major contributor to to the health challenges that we find ourselves in. So,
Yeah. I mean,
and of course, the health narrative, nutritional narrative, is controlled by the industries that profit from the drugs and the foods we ingest, including the idea of cholesterol being high cholesterol being something that's negative.
mm-hmm.
So these ideas that I've learned
Great.
as a result of all this.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously the like prescribed macrobiotic healing diets and the keto diet overlap is where the avoidance of sugar and processed foods and all and
Yeah,
reduction of oil and
yeah,
etc. Mhm.
yeah, and of course, I totally cut out alcohol once.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Alcohol.
Uh, so, yeah, I mean, for most of us, we're completely ignorant of what we put in our body. So whether it's keto, whether macro, whatever, it's bringing consciousness to what we're eating, and just that I think makes a huge difference. Just bringing consciousness to what we're putting in our bodies.
Okay. So you could say that before this journey, this event and journey, you were pretty much sort of unconscious about what you're putting in, but just kind of
Yeah,
eating.
yeah, in a sense. I mean, I was always conscious.
Right.
I mean, I was always munching on things which I knew were not the best.
Okay.
You know, flour products and stuff like that, crackers and stuff.
Okay.
So I completely cut all that out,
Excuse me.
and I have no intention to going back to any of that.
Uh-huh.
Regardless of whether I stay on keto or not.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And
Yeah.
and I have no intention of going back to any of these other seed oils, even whether they're organic or
Okay.
not. So I think those, yeah. So those are things that I've since with Lisa and we've researching
Right.
and
Okay.
have uncovered.
And so, um, what would you say about our parent? I'm going to now to the second question. What would you say? What do you think about our parents' cancer and our sisters' cancer-related deaths and the general macrobiotic approach that they've been promoting, which actually has helped many people?
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that it's helped so many people.
Yes,
As you
at the same,
mentioned, thousands.
right.
I don't know how many, but many
Yeah,
thousands of people.
yeah. At the same time, they themselves uh, couldn't overcome their own cancer-related conditions.
Yeah. Well, one thing is that um, I um, whatever you focus on, whatever one focuses on is what we tend to attract, so to speak. So if we're focusing on cancer, we tend to attract that. So the challenge, I mean, the thing that I question my parents many years, even prior to Lily and other people dying of cancer who are supposedly macro, was to continue to question what might be missing, what we may, and look at other things like, and especially when Lily got cancer, was diagnosed with cancer. Lily and mom was diagnosed with cancer. I um, I felt that there was a need. The place that I wanted to begin was from ground zero. You know, I know nothing. I see nothing. You know,
Right.
and that's exactly where began in 2021.
Okay.
You know, if I'd known, you know, if I could see it, then it wouldn't have happened, right? So obviously I didn't see it.
Right,
Obviously I
right.
didn't know. I didn't know. So,
Right.
so that's the first thing is to to admit that I know nothing, you know. So,
Right. Okay.
so you know, so not to discount anything.
Right.
Yes.
But I think Osawa called it beginner's mind for having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and also, as I mentioned, uh, you know, in the book Awake at the Wheel is a story about 2005. I discovered that what I call the human dilemma. February 2005, I got the cosmic joke, and that's the cosmic joke is that we don't know what we are, and we don't know that we don't know. And upon seeing the cosmic joke, I saw that 95% of our reality is false, literally false. Like everyone who's watching this and listening to this, I suggest practically your total reality is to put it bluntly, it's a lie. It's actually false. So and so when this came along, this, you know, number one, I know that there's no such thing as death, you know, and that we don't go anywhere when the form dies. So, you know, so and I don't see any of this as anything wrong. Like shouldn't have happened. What did I do wrong? Regrets. None of that. That's all just BS. No such thing. I mean, you know, that's the way we've been programmed to think. It's not that we don't have a choice but to think the way we think. That's the way we've been programmed. But that doesn't mean that that's factual or truthful. Um, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I just look at it as like, okay, this is I'm just along for the ride, so to speak, and I
Yeah.
appreciate
Right.
everything, you know, that's
Right.
arising.
Yeah. You do actively pursue things to try to improve your condition.
Yeah, it's not about denying. It's not about denial at all. It's about, you know, it's like, as parents, when we have children, we love our children. If the children's upset, the way to understand our children is to have a completely blank mind, empty mind, and be totally open. Have any preconceived ideas or what they should or shouldn't do or anything. If we truly want to understand something, like our children, it's just a space of love, and that's true for everything, including Mr. Crater. That's so I wanted to understand Mr. Bump, who became Mr. Crater. So so I would every in the morning I would wake up and I say, "Hello, Mr. Crater. I love you, Mr. Crater," and and look at what it's not an accident. It's not it's something like a message or something. And yeah, I've gotten a lot of insights in the last 2 years,
Okay.
which have been wonderful insights.
Okay. Great. So, what do you see? How do you see? Do you have do you see? How do you see your future unfolding in like next year, or like you're not working? You haven't been working now for 2 years.
No,
You think you'll be going back to work, or you hope to?
well, yeah, I'd like. I don't know. Uh, I'll probably the way things are going. I feel like maybe in the spring I can go back to work. I haven't been able to work since 2021, August
Mm-hmm.
2021. So, uh, I still have the truck. It's sitting
Yeah,
in Asheville, North Carolina,
and it's a new truck which you're still paying on. Yeah.
yeah, it's well, it's been paid for, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's my son Ryan. He checks on it on a weekly basis and starts it up and makes sure everything's good.
Okay.
But so so the plan is to I definitely want to become active again. And the primary thing I want to share is what my life is about, is sharing the human dilemma, what I call the human dilemma, uh, sharing what the true being of human is, and how and and really our true nature is, you know, made in the image of God. It means that we're totally creative in the way in God is creative, and we are creative in the to the same degree, and that our reality here is a creation, and to understand how this creation is created. And so so that's what I'd like to share: how time space is created, how this, uh, and then of course financially I need support. So if I need to, I can drive a truck again. Drive the truck again. Right now, it's doesn't cost me anything really, virtually nothing to own the truck. Need to
Okay.
maintain taxes and stuff on it, stuff. So so that's, and I may sell the truck
Okay.
if I can uh, uh, support myself with what I call Norio nonsense.
Good. Okay. So I think what I'll do is it's been an hour actually. So I'm going
Ah,
to I'm going to open it up to questions. So if you're watching, feel free to type in your questions in the comment section on YouTube, and I'll be able to see it, and we'll have Norio respond to it. Okay, so feel free, anybody who's watching, please write your questions for Norio to answer.
Maybe before we start that, I want to mention a number of things that
Okay.
we've
But you can go
experimented.
ahead and write them down, and I'll see them, and you can go ahead and keep talking. Norio.
So of course, breathing is important. So like, I recommend this book, Breath.
Okay. Can you lift it up a little higher? James Nestor.
Yeah.
Okay.
James Nestor.
The New Science of a Lost Art. Okay. Breathe.
Breath.
Okay.
Another book that we use is The Body Code.
Okay. These are books you read that are helping.
Yeah, it's been tools that we facilitate. You mentioned turpentine.
Oh yeah. Yes.
That's something that has turpentine, I think, has made a significant difference. One more thing is that what I think has made a huge difference is the water that we've been drinking.
Okay.
And the water we've been drinking is called analemma. There's something called analemma developed by out of Holland or the Netherlands,
Okay.
and it's we structure all the water that we drink and cook with, and
what
basically
do you mean structure?
Yeah. If you, I sent you links. You mentioned you published links.
Yes, there are links on the YouTube description video, and I will also post the links in the next post-interview report from my blog.
Yeah. So before so that I don't take time attempting to describe, since I can't describe it adequately.
Okay.
I suggest people check it out.
So how do you get this water?
We bought this something called an analemma wand.
Okay.
And we stir the water with this wand, about a liter at a time.
Okay.
And
it's just tap water. Tap water.
Well, we use tap water, but we have filter system.
Okay.
In the house, of course, taking out the chlorine
and
and the fluoride, and then out of that filtered water, we then structure the water. So I think that's made a huge difference.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, what kind of difference would you say?
People who've, for example, there are people who are doing this and they're putting whole house units using whole house units so that they're bathing in this structured water regularly. Like issues like heart issues and all kinds of chronic issues disappear.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, you've heard of the Lourdes, the water Lourdes, France.
Lourdes, yes. Yeah.
Well,
the holy water.
Yeah, the holy water. Well, that's what this analemma wand, or they now offer a whole house unit.
I see.
It structures the water in the same way the water of the Lord's holy water has been structured.
Okay, that's interesting.
And so I think that's really made it the diet, that water, and turpentine. And here again, I'm not saying absolutely. I have no proof that this is the case, but this is what I feel has made the difference.
Okay. Great. Good. So we do have a question, unless there's more you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, tuning forks. We do work with tuning forks, working with the energy field.
Really? How often do you do that?
We haven't done it much lately, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
it works with your R energy field. Or
Yes.
this is a red light that I was putting on Mr. Crater.
Red light?
Yes, we've been trying different therapies.
Okay. How long have you been drinking that water?
It's been about a year now. Well, maybe not quite a year. Yeah.
I see. And you
Yeah.
just drinking, not cooking with it,
No, cooking it, drinking it. Like
oh, okay.
I have tea. I use everything, anything that
Okay.
this tea is made with that water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So we have a question here. What supplements do you take? This is from Joy Falls. What supplements do you take and why? Also, do you take mistletoe or have you had any ozone therapy?
Never tried the ozone therapy. As far as supplements, let's see. I've never taken supplements or anything drugs before Mr. Bump came into my life. So let's see. I have easiest thing is to look at a list that I have here. Taken something called black salve, which I take with every meal. Blockbuster, which is another thing that I've taken. I take 2 of those every morning. The lauricidine pellets. I don't know exactly how that's pronounced, but the pellets Dr. Yu has recommended I take this.
What is it called?
Lauricidin, Lauricidin, lauricidin
Okay.
pellets.
Right. By the way, I just want to mention that I have also scheduled another interview with Dr. Yu to go about everything he recommended, including the keto diet and why he did that. And that interview will be December 10th, Sunday, December 10th at 2 p.m. So I will have an interview with him there where we will go over specifically Norio's condition and what has been happening with him. And he'll talk about it from a medical point of view, as well as including all the supplements he recommended to you. Okay, so continue, yes.
Okay, another one is called Lifeblood. It's desiccated blood from cattle. I take in capsule form. I was taking 6 a day, but I'm down to 2 a day. And not all of this is from Dr. Yu. These are different things that we've researched.
Okay.
There's something called strophanthus. It's liquid drops made from a plant in South America. The Mexican honeysuckle tea, I drink that every day. I take it like 13 days on, and then I take 7 days off, 13 days on of the Mexican honeysuckle tea. Let's see, something called Vitality capsules. Dr. Daniels developed something called Vitality capsules, combination of different herbs and spices. Wim Hof breathing, the breathing technique. I've been using that. I think that's been helpful, not just with my breathing, but I feel that's been helpful in the healing process as well.
Wim Hof breathing?
Wim Hof, W-I-M.
Wim Hof, okay.
H-O-F-F. H-O-F.
Is that a breathing technique or
Yeah, Wim Hof, his nickname is the Iceman,
Oh,
and he recommends it. He's developed a breathing technique that he recommends, and so I've been following that.
okay.
So
Was that in that book you showed?
no, that well, he mentions that in the book, but it's
Okay.
but
Uh,
these are available on YouTube if you want to look it up.
okay.
Uh,
Anything else?
uh, and then sometimes, occasionally, zinc, vitamin C, or bone broth. I take bone broth
Right.
1 to 2 times a day. Uh,
Okay.
and then there are all these other prescription drugs that I've taken, either through Duke or George, Dr. Yu,
Uh-huh.
Dr. George.
Right. Okay. Great. So somebody was asking if you could show the books again, those 2 or 3 books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, the other thing that I started, someone recommended to Lisa to check out Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza. Okay.
Joe Dispenza and his meditation techniques.
Okay.
And I found that his meditations have been very helpful. I've gotten a
Okay.
lot of insights through his meditations as well. And so
Okay. So
I do.
for those watching, those links to everything he's mentioning should be in the YouTube description of this YouTube live. Okay. So there's
This one, the body code.
right.
This is one of them.
Okay.
This one here is called breath.
Mhm. Okay.
And yeah, the other books I don't have right in front of me.
Okay. The other question is, what kind of tea were you drinking? Are you drinking right now?
Right now I'm drinking pu'er tea, though I don't. I've been avoiding the black tea so much.
Okay. What do you normally drink? Like hot
Well,
drinks?
lately I stopped drinking the black tea, but I have been drinking in the morning. I'll drink matcha.
Oh, okay. Caffeine.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then the honeysuckle tea,
Okay.
Mexican.
Okay. You just froze a little bit. Are you there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So now, got some other questions. Um, okay. First, there was a comment earlier from David Jackson. I don't know if you remember David Jackson.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that his comment. He said, "So glad you discovered carnivore after 40 years macrobiotic and still have some health issues. I am now almost 2 years carnivore. The benefits and education is definitely life changing." So you have a fellow carnivore there in Mr. David Jackson. Also, another person whose name you'll recognize, Neil Rubenstein, just wanting to acknowledge that he's here with you guys, with us guys,
All right.
with you.
Hey, Neil. Great to see you. Well, I
Yeah,
don't see
hi
you,
Neil.
but great to
Okay,
know. Yeah.
so now next question from
Love
Paul
you, brother
Hooper.
Neil, and David too, of course, and everyone else.
Okay, so now hello, Paul Hooper says, hello Norio and Thea. Question for Norio. What role does the human unconscious play in your life experience? What relationship exists between you and the unconscious or subconscious? Thank you.
Well, that's a real easy question to answer.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Right, because it's you're
Because
unconscious
it's
about it.
subconscious. It's unconscious. So.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, so next, okay, well, here's another question. What did you indulge in recreational drugs in your youth, and which ones?
Uh,
Is
yeah. Well,
that's
marijuana, little hashish. I tried acid once. That's it.
Okay.
And I only did it when I was 15, mostly 15, and then once in a while I would smoke some marijuana, but very rarely. It's
Right.
been probably 40 years since I last had it. Yeah,
So
I didn't enjoyed it somewhat, but it was it was just I didn't
it's
like
just
being spaced out.
experimental.
Yeah,
So you didn't really indulge in it, or it didn't become part of your lifestyle.
right. Yeah,
Uh-huh. And that was over 40 years ago.
yeah,
Okay. So no pot smoking while you're driving a truck.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I had friends who were drug dealers back in Brookline, during our
Okay.
youth, and I could have gotten all kinds of things, for free. But I would ask them, well, what does it do? And they would tell me, and it just did not sound interesting to me. I wasn't curious to even try it,
Right. Okay.
especially because it's I heard that it's addictive,
Right.
and I didn't want to try something that was addictive.
Uh-huh.
The idea that it was addictive.
Okay. Well, great. Any other questions? Seems the questions have stopped. We're at 31 people listening to the presentation. Anything else you want to add, Norio?
No, I appreciate everybody their support, and yeah, it's every day is a new day, and I wake up and I appreciate waking up. Grateful to
Okay.
my friends and all of you friends and family and my family.
All right.
It's a,
There's
it's a good, it's a wonderful life.
right. There is one question. Do you eat fish?
Yep, I do.
How regularly, like compared to the other animal foods? Like,
Probably once or twice a week.
okay, but every day you eat like almost it's beef, or do you eat
Yeah,
pork, uh, uh, bacon? No.
yeah, bacon. We eat
Uh-huh.
pork. I don't know so much pork. I think sometimes,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Lisa's she's my nutritionist. She's a
Uh-huh.
wonderful chef.
Okay.
And
Great.
whatever she
Uh,
makes, I enjoy.
Now the meat that you eat, I do have a question myself. The meat that you eat, is it grilled, like cooked, or is it more rare, or
Um, Grilled? I don't know.
is it like
You prepare
heavily
the meat
cooked?
grilled, rare. She uses an air fryer. She grills it. She
Okay.
bakes
Okay.
different ways.
All right.
Yeah.
So another question, which I think you've answered earlier, were you on a macrobiotic diet when you got ill? Uh,
Well, the I wouldn't say that I was,
yeah.
and and I wouldn't say I necessarily wasn't. Uh, for me, I don't see that there's a specific macrobiotic diet. I see, I see that there's a particular understanding in how to discern what we eat. So there's like, the teachings of Jojo Sawa and our parents. So that was a particular way of discerning how to eat, but not to specifically eat just just this or whatever. Like right now, since Mr. Crater, Mr. Bump, Mr. Crater coming into my life, I've now definitely say, okay, I'm not going to eat this. I'm going, I am now on a specific diet. But prior to this, I mean, I didn't eat a lot of meat anyway. I mean, in the last few months, I've eaten more meat than I have in my entire life put together prior to this. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so and the other thing is that what I recommend or suggest, I don't like to recommend anything. Don't listen to me. I tell you to recommend. I recommend anything, don't do it. What I suggest is that to consider the whole idea of preventive medicine, or uh, is 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 it fundamentally seems to me that it's a fearful way of looking at life. Uh, I'm not saying that it's wrong or something. That's just what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know. How do I prevent something I don't know? You know, the only thing we can prevent is what's known. And tomorrow, every moment is actually unknown. So living from a concept of living preventatively is like we're attempting to manage the magic of the unknown. You know, the unknown where creativity and where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, is the unknown. And that is the how I saw Mr. Pump, Mr. Crater. You know, I know nothing. You know, so it's an opportunity to. I mean, it definitely opened my eyes to stop driving a truck, and there was no choice in that. And so there's lots of things that I've learned. I've been exposed to, and lots of insights, and I'm grateful for all of that.
Great. So yeah, maybe in the future, maybe I think you said there's a lot you want to share in the future that maybe we could do some kind of webinar or some kind of where we can invite people to participate. Um,
Yeah, Lisa and we've been talking about doing a workshop in probably end of February in North Carolina, and
okay.
the working title for the workshop is Dissolving the Question.
Dissolving the question. Okay.
Yeah, and to just say briefly about what that is about is
Okay.
questions open the door. Is like opens a door. An answer closes the door. So the idea is to live in a question, in the space of question, of a question. So the intention of the workshop is to invite people to come with their most burning question of their life.
Okay.
And well, it's not recognized because we don't recognize what time is. Times is that the question and answer, they do not exist separately. The question and answer is a single movement. It's two sides of the same coin. Now, as a result of us humans playing in time, there appears to be a delay between the question and then the answer. So when in actuality they exist together. The same way I was pointing to that birth and death actually exist together. They're not separate movements. And death is not something to avoid. And as a matter of fact, avoiding death is synonymous to avoiding life, on one level. So it's a matter of recognizing death for what it is, and when we do, we live fully. We can then live fully, embracing death in our life, in the way in which we live. So now that doesn't mean when Lily died or when a loved one dies that we don't grieve. Grieving is part of life. And so it's not to deny any of those physical and emotions and things that we have. It's to get back to the dissolving the question. So it's about when we ask a question, we look at the answers out there in the future somewhere. We have to find it out there. So this workshop is about, or play shop, whatever. Since we're actually not designed to work, we're designed to play. So is to see the question and the answer in the question. The question that we ask, there's a lot there that the question we ask is actually reveals, to answer Paul Huber's question. The question we ask reveals the unconscious, reveals the subconscious. And so that's and in the revealing of that subconscious and unconscious, the question, as opposed to being answered, actually dissolves. So that's and so that's kind of what it's about.
Okay.
And it's an experiment.
Okay.
It may go over like a lead balloon. Who knows?
All right.
We'll have a good time anyway. I will. I'll have a good time. Maybe nobody else will.
Right. Well, whenever you're ready, you can send me the link and I'll post it on Facebook and other places. Yeah. Okay, there's a couple of other questions. Do you miss the macro diet? Do you miss like carbs and beans?
Well, no, I don't miss anything.
Except for udon then. Mochi.
Actually, I don't miss them either. I love them.
Oh, okay.
But to understanding what it means to be human, to truly understand. And understand is not the right word. The knowing of being human.
Right.
Because it's not an understanding, it's a knowing of being human. It's the knowing and understanding of what language and thinking is. And I think this is something that Giorgio Sara understood and talked about. And I feel like, and it seems to me that virtually no one really understood what he was saying when it came to this. And so in order to miss something, there has to be a particular way of thinking about something. In order to be bored, there has to be a way of talking to oneself for there to be boredom to exist. In order to have fear, there has to be a particular way that we are talking, that one is talking to himself for fear to show up. So the idea of boredom, fear, missing something, as a result of the recognition of what languaging and thinking is, that way of talking to oneself doesn't occur anymore. So so I can readily acknowledge, oh, I love udon, I love mochi, but I don't miss it. You see, there's a distinction there. So you can sit there, you can sit in front of me and be eating mochi and or udon, whatever my favorite, these or favorite foods. But there isn't this dialogue going on that, oh, I wish I could eat that or whatever. I can still appreciate that you're appreciating it, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way I enjoy a sunset, but I don't need to own it. It's so that's uh, an example of this is, I used to get hints of this growing up. Like when I was 15 years old, I was depressed for 15 minutes. I woke up and I was feeling depressed. And because I woke up late and I didn't want to get out of bed and everything. And after 15 minutes, I just said, okay, enough of this. I saw that there's a particular way that talking to myself was occurring. And that was the source of depression in that way of talking to myself. So that's the only time I've ever been depressed. I've never been depressed since.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't recognize that the reality that we see out there is being created in the way we're languaging and talking to ourselves. That's the world we see out there, not the other way around. The world out there is not creating my problems or whatever. So that's and this is really when George Osao said we're responsible for everything in the world. When he said, I remember when I was a child, 6 years old, said that. That's what he's referring to, is that, and energetically, that's so. It was in 2005. Well, first when I was 18, for about 20 minutes, but in 2005, for 10 days, I could see energy. If you Carlos Castaneda's books talks about stopping the world and seeing the world, seeing everything as energy. And that's literally what occurred for me. And I saw the way the energy was moving. And I saw that the outer, what appears to be the outer world, is actually energy moving through the human form to the outer world. And then through the conditioned way in which we're speaking, it appears to be an outer world, but it's actually being directly manifested through us, through the human form. So I see that that's literal. What George Osao is pointing to is literally true or factual. And here again, I'm not saying, take my word for it. It's all an invitation to consider it and look at it for oneself.
Yeah, good. All right, let's see. What other questions we got here? Somebody's asking, what is your perspective on disease? Do you see it more as an enemy or as a friend? I think you talked about it at the beginning, where you felt like this, you don't see it as an enemy or even particularly as a friend, but more like a message that to pay attention to.
Yeah, well, definitely, I definitely don't see it as an enemy. And yeah, definitely I'd see it as, if I were going to use one of the analogy or word friend, I would consider it a friend.
Okay. Yeah, I
You
think that's good.
Yeah.
Somebody else is asking, do you would you agree that eating a lot of meat is not good for the planet? I guess.
Well,
You know,
I've heard that.
yeah.
I've heard that it's not good for the planet, and I've heard
Hmm.
that,
Or that the
you know,
whole idea of
John Robbins' book,
right,
Time for
and
New America. Um,
mass mass production of beef and animals. You know,
yeah, I would concur and agree with the way that industrial uh, farming, animal husbandry, or whatever,
right.
I feel is not healthy at all to the animals themselves and
Mm,
and to our health or to the planet as a whole. I would agree with that. The meat that we get is sourced from local farms, family farms.
free range.
Yeah, exactly. And we pay extra
Right.
for it,
Right.
but but I don't go to McDonald's and
Right.
eat a Big Mac or whatever. You know,
Hmm.
so definitely, I think regardless of whether we eat vegetables, or grains, whatever, or meat, to be conscious and aware of how it's produced, I think makes a huge difference for our well-being and the planet.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but I question, and like I here again, I say, I know nothing, but I question whether to make a blanket statement that eating meat is uh, unhealthy for the planet. I question that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. And
Hmm.
so, I mean, there are carnivore animals. They eat
Hmm.
meat. Uh, they're native. Something that growing up, that I learned as I was studying. There are native tribes that eat meat. There's a native. I heard macrobiotic. Oh, Eskimos because they live in the northern climates. They eat meat. Okay, but then I read a book, Savages by Joe Kane, which is about a tribe in the Amazon, and they eat 100% animal food,
Hmm.
no vegetables whatsoever,
Hmm.
and yet they thrive.
Hmm.
So, so you know, um, yeah, definitely so much of the way we modern humans live is toxic to ourselves and the planet.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. So let's see. Another question. Um, so front and back doesn't exist. Everything is simply coexisting, like you said about birth and death. Is that what you're saying? Pretty much.
Yeah, when we have one side, we have the other,
Okay.
and it's a single movement, and
Hmm.
we humans, uh, the human form, uh, being energy prisms for energy, break the energy up into time space, so that we can play in this space between one side of the coin and the other side of the coin. But it's really a single movement.
Right. Okay. I think there's one more small question, and then we can wrap things up. Just a question: have you read the book Kikuo Chishima, a friend of Asawa's, where he says cancer is a friend and not an enemy? Uh,
What is the name of the book again?
there's the name
Oh,
isn't
the
given, but
author.
yeah, the author is Chishima. That he's the guy who also said, blood originates in the small intestines, and
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Um,
it was a
no,
like a
I haven't
contemporary.
read that book,
Yeah. Okay.
but it's very much in line with I think the original teachings of George Osawa.
Hmm.
I think that many people aren't aware that that it was understood, George Osawa's teachings. It was understood how that food was primary to our health. But the focus wasn't about disease in his original teachings. In 1965, when George Osawa came and visited with us, we were living in Cambridge, Massachusetts at the time. There was quite a bit of talk about cancer. And so George Osawa, my dad, our dad, thought, oh, hey, let's use cancer as a way to promote macrobiotics, to introduce people to macrobiotics. But it was meant to be just a stepping stone to introduce people to the idea of macrobiotics and the way of living macrobiotically, and wasn't intended to promote this as a cure for cancer, which it turned out to be. So after that, it became known as the sort of prevention diet and all that. Right. And it's, so yeah. It's
yeah, and just to interject, the Christoph Hufelen, the physician who wrote the book Macrobiotics: The Art of Prolonging Life, the German physician who lived in the 1700s, said that disease, macrobiotics, whereas the medical art views disease as an enemy, the macrobiotic art views disease as a means of prolonging life. So
yeah,
that's
absolutely
what Hufelen said when he was introducing macrobiotics. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
Absolutely, and that's just what George Osawa used to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so now I guess we have a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Do you think most people who eat a strict macro type diet will eventually become ill?
Yeah, if you're eating to prevent disease, in a sense we could say that's kind of a disease way of saying of looking at life. But I mean, I don't want to knock people for that. It's not. But I mean, George Osawa, he said there's only one disease. It's called arrogance. He called it arrogance. I call it phantom selfing. But yeah, it's
so in that sense, it has nothing to do with what you eat. It has to do with
life is not something to be avoided.
Life is okay.
Disease is an interpretation. It's a misunderstanding. I mean, I don't even want to say it's a misunderstanding. It's a particular way. It's holding it as an enemy, and I don't see it as an enemy.
Right.
Here again, I'm not telling anyone it's not. I don't want, I'm not, I don't have recommendations of how people, what is, when we understand what it is to be human, we understand that like all living things, there's a beginning from seed to flowering, through our different stages of maturation and flowering to our full expression of our being. And we're here to support each other in our flowering, each of us. And what does that look like for you? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. The only way I can understand what that could be is by not having any judgments about you, not having any preconditions or ideas of who or what you are or supposed to do or the way you're supposed to live, and understand you completely, in this space of unconditional love, and to support what that would be for you. So I don't know what that is for you. You know, unless I listen without any preconceived ideas and notions.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Right. Good. Okay. So I guess that's it. So there's just one other question which you answered before was, do you eat fish? And you said maybe twice a week or something like that.
yeah,
It's a regular part of your carnivorous diet or keto diet.
yeah.
Uh, Another comment from David Jackson saying, I think carnivore keto is macrobiotic. Today's common macrobiotic just left out 2 million years of human eating. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I wanted to say something about that.
Uh-huh.
As far the way I look at it, I feel like this is totally in line with George Sal's what he was sharing, teaching.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You know, I don't think he was talking about, you know, eating. You know, and here again, it's my interpretation that
Yeah.
you know
Okay.
it's um,
I
you
think there's
know
a lot. I think, people would wonder or would want to go into this a lot further with you,
yeah
considering like, oh, there's the number seven, rice,
yeah
brown rice
mm-hmm,
fast, and the emphasis on grains as the
yeah
evolutionary staple for humanity. Anyways,
yeah yeah.
there's all of that.
I think there's a lot of value to that. Actually,
Hmm.
to me, as far as the way I see it, I don't think what any of what I'm doing necessarily contradicts any of it.
Hmm. Yes,
I think that they, yeah,
and then there's some people who say that eating animals are quite young, concentrated,
yeah.
young food as opposed to plant or vegetable foods. And then how are you making balance with that, et cetera, you know.
Believe me, there are veggies which are very on too, ginseng and you know these roots. You know,
Right.
I mean, so it's yeah. I
Well,
attempt. Yeah, I tend not to use yin and yang. I mean, it's a useful tool, but
right.
uh,
Yes. I mean, and that you've been able to, since January, maintain your keto regimen and pretty much animal and very little vegetables, that without drinking alcohol or going on these
yeah, that's
wild
fine.
eating binges or sugars or ice cream or anything like that is, I think that, and you look fine. You don't look,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. The trick to addictions and all that is to notice the conversation, the talking to oneself,
right,
and without that, there is no, as I mentioned, you know, basic things like fear, boredom,
right,
whatever,
right.
can't exist without that particular way of
Right.
talking to oneself. Uh,
Okay. Well, so I think, do you have any last words you want to say?
no, just thank you to you, Fia, and to everybody
Yeah. And
who's
if
listening
there's,
now, you know, listening to this now or in the future.
yes, right. And if there's interest in having more like this, please let me know, and I'll schedule, maybe I'll schedule another event or a series of events that, where people might want to hear what you have to say, uh, in contrast to what they've learned about Georgia South. So one other question, um, from Neil Rubenstein. Am I correct in assuming that you are considering your current diet as a temporal experiment that currently has beneficial results, subject to revision?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you're just
Absolutely. And yeah, subject to revision, you know, I made the commitment to Dr. Yu, 2 years. He said 2 years. So I said, okay, 2 years, I'll do it.
okay,
But, you
great.
know, if something shows up in the interim, I'll tell Dr. Yu, hmm,
You're not sure about this. Right.
but
You may.
but for now,
Okay.
I intend on sticking to that commitment. We'll see.
For 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Great.
if I die tomorrow, obviously I won't stick to it.
Right.
Yeah,
So yes. So we can check in also, like after the 2 year is over, and see where you're at. Maybe have you eat your udon and mochi on the interview. We'll celebrate
yeah, that's great.
your.
Yeah, and I like that idea because that means I'll still be around in 2 years.
Yeah.
After 2
Well,
years.
yeah.
And
Good.
yeah, the other thing I want to mention is that, and here again, I'm just sharing, not that to be this way or live this way. There's nothing wrong in the way anyone's living. The idea of right and wrong is only a temporary way in which we're playing, but in actuality, there is no right or wrong. With my kids, and we talk about like when they visited in last year ago March or whatever, we talk about that and we joke about it. It's not, and I've told my children, hey, you have any questions, let's happy to talk about it. And I want to make it clear, it doesn't mean that I know what's going to happen after this nutty Norio dies. I don't. I'm totally clueless. And however, I know that ultimately there's no ending. There's no and that we don't go anywhere. That's the only thing I know. What it's going to look like, your guess is as good as mine. But yeah, there's nothing. There's absolutely no fear. Nothing. I mean, like I said, the fear is it's only in our temporary human world, in the way in which we've been conditioned to talk to ourselves and speak. Anyway.
Great. Okay. One last question, which I think is a good one. Considering what you've been eating, do you have any downside? Have you experienced anything kind of negative or anything? I mean, obviously, you feeling better is great, but is there any other negative side?
It's funny. I don't think of any of this. I've never thought of any of this as being negative.
Okay. It's more like an adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say that I've experienced,
Right. You've
moments
had
of excruciating pain.
Right, but that might not
yeah, and
that's not necessarily specifically tied to your diet, but to the healing process or journey that you're on. Okay.
Yeah, and it could be, but I don't look at any of it. It never has occurred to me that any of this has been negative. The idea that anything's negative. So.
Or like physically or mentally, no, like mental
Yeah,
changes.
I mean, some of the drugs that painkillers that I took.
Oh yeah, right.
Had I mean, it did affect me emotionally. I mean, there's one time I was laying on the floor, just bawling my eyes out, just, and from these, I don't know what it was, but it was this painkiller, some kind of, not morphine or something, oxycodone, I don't know what it was, but the pain was pretty bad. But after, I tried that, and after that, I said, no, I'd rather deal with the pain. I don't care how painful it is. So,
right.
and and another pain drug I tried, I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't breathe. I just couldn't. And as I woke up, as I was waking up, and I woke, then this message came to me, ginger tea. And so I woke up Lisa. I said, Lisa, please make me ginger tea. And I could barely breathe. And so she made me ginger tea and took a few sips of that, and the breathing returned to normal within a minute,
Great.
and I didn't take that drug either. So
Great.
yeah,
Wonderful.
so it's, but even something like that, I didn't consider as negative. I just saw it as
Right.
what it is. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I think we'll stop here. Again,
Yeah.
anytime.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you
Okay.
for this opportunity.
Yes. So I just want to remind people that first, let me just put this up on the screen here, that Norio has a GiveSendGo website that was set up by his children to help him financially deal with all of his medical expenses. That's the website, Norio's GiveSendGo. If you go there and you're feeling like you want to help him on his journey, please go there and visit that site, and hope, and that would be wonderful. Okay. The other thing
Yeah,
I
and
want
of
to
course,
mention,
of course, it's totally fine if you don't donate. I appreciate everyone's friendship is plenty, and that is supportive, and at the same time, yeah, my
okay,
income has falls short of the material world, our human, social, economic system.
right,
So it is
okay.
appreciated as well. Thank
And
you.
then, yeah, the last thing I want to mention is that I will be doing an interview, a live YouTube interview, just like this one, with Dr. George Yu on December 10. That's a Sunday, December 10, also at 2 o'clock, with Dr. George Yu, who is the fellow that I recommended to Norio that he see, who told him to go on the keto diet for 2 years. And we'll have a in-depth interview with him where he will present how the keto diet worked and what he thinks. Dr. Yu and I go back a long time. He was part of the presentation to present the macrobiotic best case cancer series to the National Cancer Institute in 2001. He worked with me closely to do that. He was a very good friend working with me while I was running the Kushi Institute. Um, and uh, and I have been in touch with him over the years and suggested that Norio contact him directly because he kept doing his research on cancer and macrobiotics and cancer and food and other things, and uh, then recommended to Norio to start the keto diet, which has seemed to have worked for him very well. Anyways, so come and join me December 10th for that. After that, I hope to have a couple of other interviews, maybe with my other brother, Larry Kushi, who is the epidemiologist and renowned researcher, nutritional researcher who has studied cancer and macrobiotics from a research perspective. I hope to have him on sometime after Dr. Yu's interview, where he and I and maybe Nora might join to talk about our parents and cancer in general, and we'll see how that goes. Anyways, look for that. All of these will be in my newsletter, Tears of Gratitude, which I hope you are a subscriber from. You can be a free subscriber, or you can be a paid subscriber to access all the archived materials. Um, but if you just subscribe there, you'll get announcements to all of these things. In addition to Tears of Gratitude newsletter, I have a couple of other Substack blogs. One is Study Macrobiotics with Thea. That's one, which I've just started to post some things. There you can ask me any questions you like, and I will answer those questions as best as I can. Another Substack blog that I've created is the Teachings of Michio and Aveline Kushi, which I have a large quantity of archival material from my parents, which I intend to be posting there regularly. Some of it has to may take time because I have to reprocess it into text format from these PDF or images, but that there the teachings of Michio and Aveline Kushi is where you'll find a good and hopefully in the future a good amount of my parents' teachings, which is extensive and enormous. Okay, what else? I think that's about it right now. Okay, so thanks again, Norio, and
Thank you,
we'll
Fia.
say goodbye to everybody. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Love you all. Stay in touch, and that's it. All right. Have a good Sunday, and see you. All right.
Hey, bye, Al.
Bye. Let's see. We'll show this screen and play Lily's music. Okay. Bye.